There we go. All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week here. And unfortunately, nothing really much has been going on. We're still kind of in a sideways range when it comes to price action. We'll talk about that more when we get to the smaller time frames. But hello, if you guys don't know me and who I am, my name is John or Johnny, either one goes. And I primarily trade the ABC method. Now, if you guys don't know what the ABC method is, um, to make things simple, and we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about this, and I'll kind of walk you through how I approach my TA when it comes to strategy. But all we're looking for is either an ABC to the upside or the downside, with looking at trends in groups of threes. Right. And for both case scenarios, we're looking to take trades once price reclaims the level of the A wave. Right. And pretty much what this is going to look like on the short side is we're looking for an uptrend. We have a pullback for a B wave trend, and then a extension past the A for a C wave trend. Once price puts in that higher high, right, we're not taking any trades until price can reclaim that level back below the previous A. Once that happens, we're looking to take the short, and an opposite goes for the long side. We're looking for a downtrend, a retest for a pullback trend, and then a continuation past the pivot of the A. Once price gets back below, we're looking for price to go ahead and reclaim that level. Once you can get back above the pivot of the A, we're taking the entry as soon as we cross back above, and then looking for an extension higher. And that's pretty much it. You can categorize these trades into either continuation setups or reversal setups. Primarily, we trade reversals, but there are moments where if we are in an aggressive uptrend or downtrend, we will absolutely try to take continuation setups. And all continuation setups are versus reversals is that, let's say you have an ABC here for a short setup. Let's say price significantly goes in your favor to the downside, and all we're looking for is another ABC on a relative perspective time frame, which is going to be this one here. All right, and then a continuation is going to be once you take the initial trade, you're going to be looking for a similar setup to the downside, or sorry, a continuation setup, which is also the same exact setup we're looking for from the previous entry. For this, we're taking it at a lower point to go ahead and take profit and hopefully catch a continuation lower, something like this. That's what a continuation setup is. But I'll go over those if needed. If you guys have any questions about continuations versus reversals, I can definitely go over that here today for you. But primarily, we're just looking for ABC setups, looking to see how the market is going to behave, what could be coming next for BTC and cryptos in general. And yeah, hopefully we can show you guys the way of the ABC. Hope you guys can take some of that, at least consider the idea of where price can reverse and look for possible trades if you are interested in learning more. I'll be going over the setups I'm currently in, and maybe you guys can go ahead and look for your own trades. If not, take potential setups that I'll be marking out here. But as always, we don't give financial advice on this channel. It's just our suggestions. I'm showing you guys how I approach my trading, my TA, and yeah, let's get on. Let's get going. So I like to start out on the larger time frame, larger perspective. All right, if you guys, um, it depends on what you can consider the ideal time frame. We'll talk about that once we zoom in a little bit. But for me, I like to be able to see what is going on throughout the entirety of a larger trend. And the reason why I drew this line here, we're going to be focusing on the 8 hour for now, is because we're starting at the end of the bull market, beginning of the bear market, and then we got to go ahead and we can pick apart this area of price action and talk about what could be coming on next or what could be going on next. So first things first, we need to identify an ABC. All right, we have our initial downtrend, a pullback wave, and a continuation lower. All right, and in these type of situations where we have an extended C wave, we are going to be looking for an ABC within the C. All right, this happens a lot on smaller time frames, but it absolutely can happen on the larger as well, but it's just less common. So once we had established our ABC within the C, all we were looking for is basically price to reclaim that level at around 17,600. And from there, look for a possible reversal and continuation higher, which we did get. So the question is, now that we have an established ABC here, I like to ask myself, is this the beginning or possibly the end of something? What I mean by that is going back to a concept that we'll talk about more once we zoom in a little bit further, and I'll show you guys examples if needed, is that a lot of the times when you have ABCs, if an ABC originally plays out in your favor, so in case for this short setup, and let's say we do get a pullback, you get entered into a trade and you're sitting in profit, sometimes what'll happen is it'll find support and it'll actually continue to trend back up. All right. And what ends up happening is that your original ABC that you wanted to play was actually part of a larger A. And then the pullback that went in your favor was a B. And then you're going to get a continuation higher for a C, which turns into a whole nother setup. So this does happen occasionally on the larger time frames, but primarily we like to see this happen on smaller time frames. I don't really consider the macro ones to be frequent enough to keep an eye out on, but it's definitely could be a possibility of what could be going on here at the moment or what is currently building up on price action. So that being the case, we're going to go over multiple scenarios of what could be going on. I like to start out with kind of the bullish idea, and then we'll work our way to the bearish. The bullish idea is that this is done, right? We have an A to a B to a C with an ABC here, and the low is put in around 15.4 or 15, around 15,475, and that's going to be it. We're not going to make a new low. So if that is the case, we're going to start from here and work our way to the right and see where exactly what this looks like. So if this is going to be the bottom, I can go in a little bit further. All right, we have an ABC for a possible A. So that ABC makes our one larger A wave. We have a larger separation and trend for a B wave, and then we have an extension higher for a C wave. All right, let me just clean that up. So at this moment, we do have an established ABC with price actually putting in a slightly higher high than the previous A and reclaiming that level, which does count as a valid potential short setup. So at the moment, it is possible that price could be topping out here momentarily. If we are going to be long-term bullish, like I mentioned from the first idea, that we will not put in new lows. So it's most likely what's going to happen is that we're going to actually come down, probably test certain areas of support, maybe put in a larger setup like this, and then continue to the upside. That is probably going to be the ideal scenario for me. This is something that I personally am looking for if we are going to be longer term bullish. Right. The other idea, as we zoom back out, is that maybe we're not done. What I mean by that is that this ABC, which I mentioned before, is actually part of a larger potential A to a B to a C. So this ABC turns into an A. We have an ABC that it's possibly a B wave. And then we have a possible continuation lower to complete the larger ABC. Now, is this the most likely option? At the moment, it's still on the table. I'm not too dead set that we're going to be actually doing this. If we are, I only expect a slightly lower low. I don't expect price to go to 10K like a lot of people were thinking once we were down in this 15K range. I could be wrong on that, but we're not here to predict exactly what price is going to do. We're just looking for the ideal scenarios of what could be going on, and hopefully we can get the right positions if we can get that opportunity. So at the moment, if this is going to be the most bearish case scenario, we need to get a lower low past 15,475. Right. So that is something I'm keeping an eye on as well. And from there, we went over the middle of the road option. I guess the most bullish case scenario you can make an argument for is that maybe we don't even put in a significant pullback. Maybe we just consolidate and we just continue to rip to the upside. That's absolutely possible. We'll talk about, once we zoom in a little bit, what could happen if that is the case, where price can go, and we'll at least have an idea of where price can go. And then from there, we can go ahead and look for possible trade ideas. I'll let you guys know the trades I'm in. And yeah, so let's zoom in a little bit further. Now that we have a better idea of what price could do, let's talk about the setups. Let's talk about what trades that I am in, and talk about where I am looking for BTC to be heading for either case scenario. So at the moment, we went over the bearish case scenario and the short setup that we're currently in. I'm still currently holding this short. I don't plan on letting this go. This is going to be a situation to where either I get stopped out or price plays into my favorite direction. We can go ahead and ride the wave. But the bullish setup that could possibly be going on, or we could be setting up for, all right, we do have an ABC within this B wave here. So for me personally, I've been holding along from down here ever since this setup first played out. I did get stopped out, I believe, one time, but we've been holding this since for about a month. So now that price is pumped significantly in our favor and kind of consolidating at this resistance region, I'm still holding on to this trade, like I said before, and we're going to be looking at what price can do for either side. Now, once I establish my ABCs and once I establish my actual trade setups and take the trades, all I'm looking for is where resistance or support can be, where price can go to. We're going to look at both sides of what could be going on here. I'm going to show you guys the areas that matter and see where price is most likely to test if we do continue in either direction. So going back, we do have the top of this previous A wave here, which is around 31,000, or you can see we're fighting at that region at the moment. We tested it a couple times, got rejected, and we're still trying to figure out whether price is going to push through or not. If price breaks through that region, the next area of resistance I expect BTC to go ahead and test is around 32,450, which is at this previous let's see. All right. Which is at the previous local high off of the retest of this downtrend. All right. So now that we have a separation in trend, we can look for possible pivots where price can go ahead and test. And from there, that's around 32,450. If that fails, the next area of price to go ahead and actually test, besides the previous local high, which we'll talk about that if we go back a little bit further in the trend, which is around 48K, there is a slight resistance at around 42,950, 42,3. Oh, sorry, 42. Yeah, 42,950. So as long as price can clear 32,450, I honestly think price can easily go ahead and retest the previous high at around 42,950 there. And then we got to take it one step at a time. But I honestly think, in my opinion, if you were to ask me, I don't see a reason why price can't go test 48,195 or 48,200, depending on which chart you're looking at. But that is the resistance to the upside. And then we can look for the support below us and see what could be possibly going on. The next area of supports below, something to consider, is going to be the previous pivot of the A, which is around 25 or 25,750. From there, beta bot. Sorry about that. Who has a house phone in 2023? I still do. But yeah, so from there, we can go look for the previous support below that, or the next support below, which is around going to be around 24,780. All right. From there, I'll mark these out as we continue lower, and I'll mark this resistances just to show you guys. But going back further in the trend and looking at what areas of support we can go ahead and test, my opinion, I think 21,300 is a decent one, but ideally I would like to see 19,500. The only reason why I'm not the biggest fan of 21,300 is because we already crossed below and tested it. All right, you can make the same case for 25.8, but it's based off of a pivot of a previous ABC that has a lot more validity than this level, in my opinion. So it's a little bit different. Ideally, I'm going to be looking for 19.5 to be the ideal level of support. And then after that, most likely, maybe you can say 16.2, but I'm going to say if we break 19.5, I would say the ideal case for BTC when it comes to finding support is mostly going to be 15,450. But at that point, if we do actually retrace that far, I'm going to be on the side that we're going to be putting in a lower low, and we're going to be actually completing the larger ABC setup, which I mentioned in the beginning of the stream. So, I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, let's mark out the resistances as well. But that's pretty much all I'm looking for when it comes to longer term positions and where price can go. I showed you guys the trades that I'm taking, and then from there we can move on and talk about other coins. And if you guys have any questions, I know there's a couple of people who are just tuning in here, whether you're here on the Discord or here on the Twitch end or YouTube live stream end of this, BetaBot, I do see you looking for LTC. Yes, I'll definitely look for that or look at that for you. But if you guys are in here, I'll be keeping my eye on chat as well as you guys want to unmute yourselves and ask any questions. Please feel free to do so at any point of the stream. But let's do ETH. So I'm going to do BTC, ETH, LTC, and if you guys have any requests for altcoins, I'll definitely look into that as well. Let's do the same thing for ETH. Actually, this is a little bit more straight to the point than BTC. It comes down to the same ideas that we are looking for different variations of what could be going on. But in this case scenario, I think the trends and the actual setups themselves are a lot more pronounced. So I think you could definitely make a good case for either or. But let's go ahead and talk about what could be going on here. So we have an A to a B to a C. All right. The question is this the beginning or the end of something? If this is going to be the end of something, all right, we're done here. And so now from here, we can go over, start from the bottom of this wave and focus everything to the right and see what could be going on here. First thing that I see is going to be an ABC here. Now, if this is going to be bullish, right, I need to see price sustain above the previous low around 935. If we break that low, we'll talk about the bearish option, what could be going on. But at the moment, we are presuming or assuming that this is going to be a bullish idea. So we do have an ABC here. This could have been either the end of a larger A wave or the C wave is working on another extension. So that means we're getting an ABC within the C. Definitely possible. And then we can consider a possible pullback. But regardless of which one that is going to be, I personally think that we have the possibility of at least testing lower areas of support. Now, like I said, if we are going to break lower, I do not want to see the low be broken at 935, but it can go anywhere. And we'll talk about the levels that do matter and where ETH can go ahead and test. But if that is going to be the case, remember A to a B to a C. And at the moment, we're just looking for a larger potential B wave, something like this. That's definitely possible. The bearish case scenario is that the larger ABC I drew in the beginning off of the beginning to the end or the possible end. Actually, I wouldn't say possible end, but the beginning of this bear market is actually part of a larger set of an ABC. So this ABC could become a larger A. We have an ABC here that could become part of a larger B. And then the bearish case scenario, like I mentioned earlier, is that this has to come down and complete the actual ABC to the downside here and put in that lower low at around, okay, I said 930. It's actually 880. I misread what line that was. My apologies. So around 880, 875, depending on which chart you're looking at. But to me, if this is going to be the bearish case scenario, we do have to test lower. Whether if it's a straight shot down or we take a little bit of a longer time for this to develop. But the bearish case scenario is that we are going to put in a lower low. All right. So regardless of what side you're ideally looking for in a larger scale, we can go ahead and zoom in and talk about the smaller time frame setups. You know, I always say this in air quotes and smaller time frame because for me, about a 1 to 2 hour time frame is ideal for my style of trading. Depending on your monitor, depending on your screen size, resolution, etc., this can be different. I've had people have larger, higher quality monitors, and they're able to trade seeing the actual price action that matters on a 15-minute time frame when they're zoomed out. I've had others who've only trade on their phones. In that case, they're using like a 8 to 12 hour to kind of see the setups that as clear as they can. But it's all about perspective. Being able to make sure you can see all the available trends, as much price action as you can, without zooming in too much. One of the biggest mistakes I see is that people love to, even on the larger time frames, they'll go in and try to focus on different little parts of price action and zoom in. All right, that's probably the worst thing you could do. The ideal case scenario, like I mentioned before, is to zoom out as far as you can, and to see as much as price action as you can. So if this is going to be the bearish option, right, we have an A to a B to a C. Right. Even you can make an argument for the bullish case. I'm still shorting this. So we did reclaim that level, kind of consolidated above and we pushed through the A, consolidated and reclaimed the level of the A. So for me, as long as we're below 2030, that is going to be a bearish pivot that I'm going to be shorting off of. Right. And I am currently holding a short off of that region. And price action below us, we can look at areas of support to go ahead and test. We do have a support at around 1625. All right. From there, 1367. From there, around 1070. Those are the ideal levels of support I want to see ETH test before we can talk about another push to the upside. If we do put in a lower low past 1625, this actually completes a larger ABC, which actually would be a lot better of a trade than the one I have currently open. So I would definitely consider taking that. I'm not on the camp that I'm going to be taking every single ABC that I see, but to me, that is a very, very clear, concise setup that I'm definitely more than willing to be taking, or more than willing to take, just because it's formed differently than BTC, in that we do have a clear, concise setup versus ABC. BTCs is giving us a larger ABC short setup in general. So that is a good opportunity. So I'll definitely be marking that out as a possible area to go ahead and take a long position off of. And let's look at the resistances above us quick. All right, if we break 2030, we have 2150, which I think is an important resistance to keep an eye on. Besides that, because of the aggressiveness of this downtrend and how it behaved and didn't really give us a pullback, kind of similar to, or at least a separation trend, kind of how like this area price action did. To me, I would say that if we break past 2150, 3580 is definitely in the cards. There's really no room for that stopping price from reaching that level, or no areas that I can see that can possibly stop price from going ahead and testing that. So to me, if we are going to be bullish at this moment, and let's say we do continue to push the upside, I definitely think that 3584 is definitely in the cards. But if you want to look for more downside, if you're potentially a little bit more bearish, 1623, 1367, 1070, and ultimately 885 or 875. Sorry. It really depends on your chart. It really depends, but on the exchange you're using. But the previous low off of the bottom of the potential bottom of this bear market. So let's see. BetaBot. Can you see also if Aave will pump in the long term next 3 months, please? I want to see if alt season is starting, or the alt season will start in 2024. Yeah, definitely. I can take a look at that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for ETH. I will show you. Actually, I forgot to mention. Remember, I'm short off of 2030, as well as I'm taking a long position off of this setup here. But this could indeed actually turn into a much larger ABC or a potential bullish ABC setup, which I'm definitely considering. But just in case, I'm taking that entry, and I'm still currently holding that position. So around 1736 is my entry. All right. And then let's go over to LTC. I know BetaBot asked for it, and I'm sure there's. Oh, we actually did get the crossover. Did I get my entry? I hope I got my entry. I'll check that in a little bit. But let's go over LTC quick. So on a larger scale, same kind of scenario for both LTC, ETH, and BTC. We have to look at the macro time frame, talk about what could be going on here. A to a B to a C. All right. And then from there, we have to identify whether this is the beginning or the end of something. If this is going to be the end of something, right? This is done. You can start from the bottom, work our way to the right. From there, if I zoom in a little bit further, I see an A, DC for an A. So, okay, so this is an A to a B to a C. This is actually going to be a larger A. Our separation for a B, continuation higher for a C. Once price got back below the previous A after reclaiming the high or pushing past higher, that's going to be a short entry for us. And you can see that price did fight in this region for a little bit, but did ultimately put in a higher high and reclaim that level. So if you guys are looking to short LTC, that is definitely a great position. I might have gotten myself into this. I set a conditional, but I don't see any alerts saying that I got in. I'll check here in a little bit, maybe as we're switching markets, or if you guys have any questions. But that is a trade I was looking to enter at around 106. So if you guys haven't taken that position, congratulations. If not, if you're looking to short LTC, I personally would wait a little bit till we get a retest, but we do have a possible reversal point for LTC at the moment. And then I really don't see any long positions, so we can talk about supports below. The first area for price to go ahead and test as support is probably going to be around $70.81. From there, the next level is going to be at the next low. It's going to be around 64.87. And then ultimately, I think 61.09 and then 47.40 are the next areas to go ahead and test as support. And then ultimately the lowest low, which is around 41.52. So keep those levels in mind. And if we break above and we continue to push to the upside, resistance levels above are going to be around 133.82. 144.17. I don't really think this is significant enough. I would say if we break past that, I don't see a reason why 296 can't be tested on LTC. So just keep that in mind. We have a pocket of resistance above us, but if we break that, 296 is definitely in the cards. All right. And then let's do. So I did the big three. BetaBot's asking for Aave. I haven't checked Aave in a while. Let's see how that's doing. And let's see Aave. All right, so on an 8-hour, I might need a little bit more price action here. There we go. All right, so wow, this chart's actually kind of old, and look how well it respected those levels. All right, this is pretty cool. So what could be going on here? Same idea as, it's the same way I like to approach all my coins that I trade. I want to start from the beginning of a bull market or bear market, depending on what we're looking at. But in this case, a bear market. Look at what's going on here. All right, to me, this is an A to a B, and we do have a possible C. Question is this the beginning or the end of something? At the moment, it looks like it might be the end, just because we need to put in a lower low around 45.33. We didn't actually do that yet. So The bullish option is still on the table. But if this is going to be a larger B wave, or sorry, no, this is going to be a potential larger A wave. We do have a larger A to a B to a C. I'm not the biggest fan of this just because the A was nice and quick and the B was actually elongated and separated. But just because I'm not the biggest fan of something doesn't mean it doesn't count. So according to the rules, that is a potential A as of now. We did put in an ABC bullish setup. All right, I marked this pivot out probably a good month in advance, maybe a couple weeks before we actually put in that initial drop. But for Ave, we needed to put a lower low past $50, 20 cents and reclaim that level, which we did. So you would have been sitting at a bullish setup or long position if you're looking to trade that. This is what I would have been doing. And you would be sitting pretty in that region right now. If I go in a little bit further, I already know I'm going to get asked about this setup here. Me personally, it's a decent setup. It's not the best just because I have to zoom in a little bit. On the 1 hour, I mean, it's there. I personally wouldn't put too much confidence in this short setup. But if you want to take it, you can. Not financial advice. But me personally, I wouldn't be shorting until we get back above 116. That's the ideal level for me. I really don't see any other position that's worth taking, in my opinion. All right. And let's do. Anybody else have any altcoins you want me to look at? Let me know in chat, or if you guys want to unmute yourselves and ask. If not, I have one that I want to look at myself. Betabot, thank you, my friend. I do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Really do. It's good to see you as always. Let's do 88 quick. Okay, so for ADA, we did take this short setup back here on 42.32. I did actually end up taking profit at the 28.95, and I'm currently, I got re-entered again. I got stopped out, and I'm currently re-entered on another short position, looking for lower. We do have a potential bullish setup on a larger time frame off of this ABC. All right, that ABC in the white actually turned into a larger potential B wave. We did put in a lower low, so we do have some bullishness. All right, and I am actually also long off of this setup. I know for a fact I didn't get the best entry on this. I probably got somewhere like up here. I'm using like a 5% stop. So I'm looking for either a reversal higher to continue higher, or we're going to get another push to the downside. Regardless, I'm taking this trade. Hopefully, we can ride the wave to either direction. But ideally, I would like to see either the larger ABC be respected or have the continuation set up in our favor. But that's pretty much it for ADA. Sorry for trying to build up traffic. Seems like that doesn't work. No worries, my friend. No worries. All right. Zaloras is typing. I'll let him give him a moment to ask a question. Hi, Johnny. What about 10,000 ladies USDTP just for fun? Sure. I have no idea what that is, but oh, there it is. All right. Unfortunately, it's gonna be hard for me to break this down confidently just because I mean, we don't have the most price action, but based off what I can see, all right, we had an ABC here to finish the bear wave. We have an ABC here to give us the reversal. All right, so I probably would have been, I mean, if I was looking at this, I would have been shorting up here. But if I go into a little bit more of a smaller time frame, Unfortunately, I mean, the good news is that since we put in this setup, we can consider this area from here to the right. I'll mark it out. New trend. If this is going to be, this is definitely an A. This is a V. And to me, this just looks like a larger consolidated C wave. I would say this is tough. That would probably be your entry. Unless you get another ABC like this within the C wave. Unless you get something like that, I really don't see a point to go ahead and actually take a trade off of, unless we come back above that 0.000449.5. But because of the lack of liquidity in these types of coins, it's hard for me to kind of give you guys ABC. Sometimes they do work, but for me, the more liquidity, the more stable a coin is, the better. Oh, let's see. Hope to see you on the next video or stream. Thank you so much, BetaBot. Really do appreciate it. I'll be on my channel tomorrow. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'll be on my channel tomorrow, same time. So yeah. Okay, cool. If anybody else has any questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to traditional markets. They are important to keep an eye on and just look out for to see how traditional markets are behaving. So please let me know if you guys have any questions going into or before I move on here. And like I said, I'm going to keep my eye on chat. So if you guys want to ask anything in chat during this, I will definitely keep an eye and hopefully answer answer all your questions today. All right. So nobody else has any suggest or any request. I'm going to go ahead and move on to traditional markets. First things first, we're going to look at the SPY. All right. So something I like to keep an eye out on and look for is to see how the SPY is doing, just to get an idea of what other markets can be doing. I personally think a lot of the markets are correlated to an extent. Overall direction is correlated. Some assets is different, but overall, I think definitely to an extent is, like I just mentioned, is correlated to each other. So on a larger scale for the SPY, two different scenarios I'm looking for: either this to be an A, to a B, to a C, or I go a little bit further and zoom out a little bit. I'm looking for this to become an ABC. Now, in my opinion, I do not want this one to happen. If this one does happen, and if let's say we put in a higher high and we don't put in an actual rally if we don't put in an actual strong rally, and if we just come up and put in a slight wick and then come back below, I'm going to be a little bit scared, to be honest, because this would be a larger indication that we could be going into a larger recession to the point to where we test lower lows in the previous $3.47. Now, on the original idea, yes, I did imply, or I am looking for lower price action. But for me, I would say that without breaking this resistance, that is a significant area of support. To me, I don't see price going that much further below the previous A or the previous low around 347. If we put in that larger ABC short setup, I honestly think we can go test much lower. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go, but I'm going to be on the side that we're going to test probably below 319 if this is going to be a larger recession coming up. If we do not, or if we do put in a ever so slightly high, show signs of weakness and reverse back below, that's going to be that's not going to be a very ideal scenario for me, or at least for markets in general. So I'd be a lot more comfortable with the pullback now versus putting a new high and then reversing. But ideally, once we establish what could be going on, I'll show you guys the setups. All right, we're going to look at the areas of resistance and support. All right, so for resistance, we're currently above one at around 431. We need to reclaim that in order to consider to start to be a little bit more bearish. If we continue to push up, the next level is going to be 462.45, and then from there 480.18, which is the previous all-time high. So just letting you guys know that's what's above, and then below 380.76, 374.97, and then ultimately 347.42. So that is what I'm looking for the S&P. That's what I'm looking for when it comes to setups, the areas I can go ahead and test, and from there, see what is viable for the S&P 500. Let's do the DXY. I know DXY is invertedly correlated, or it likes to, when there's an opposite reaction between the dollar and assets in general. So for the DXY, real quick, on a larger scale, on a 2-day, we have a multi-decade ABC, all right, A to B to a C. Now, we do have an established pivot around 103.97. Just keep in mind, with these larger pivots, especially when they have a larger span of time between the A and the C, it's going to turn into a scenario to where the price area, I'm not expecting price to respect that level to the T. It's going to be more of a range, right? So I'm expecting price to kind of fight in a range between in the middle of this area here off of this pivot. And then from there, if we can break out of that range, then we'll have a more confident answer what the DXY is going to do. That's how personally I approach it. You can see we have an ABC here, a bullish ABC. So I did not take any positions on this. I don't know if you can actually trade the DXY. I think you can, but me personally, I just haven't. But there is a bullish position on the DXY. So if we can remain above $100, that's good. $100.85. That's going to be a good pivot. If we do break out of this range, the top of the range is going to be around 105. So you can see once I establish a low and a high, and basically having the bearish pivot from the multi-decade ABC being in the middle, this becomes an area to where price can go ahead and establish, possibly break out, but definitely fight in this region. That's ultimately what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for price to get exactly, test a certain area and reject. I'm looking for price to kind of consolidate, figure itself out, and hopefully figure out what it wants to do in the future. But if we can maintain below, that's going to be good for assets, bad for the dollar. If we break back above off of this bullish ABC, definitely going to be a possible bearish idea for assets if we do continue to pump. But one more thing, we do have a possible ABC here as well. So maybe we put in one more high off of that previous setup and then retrace back below. All right. And then we'll do gold, silver. So for gold, on the larger time frame, I'll start off first. We have a larger ABC here. Now I know there's an even bigger one before that, but I'm not too focused on that just because to me, it's one of those scenarios to where price is going to be kind of testing a range, just like I mentioned before. This previous pivot of the A was back in 2011. So because of the time length between the A and the C, like I said, I think there's going to be wiggle room for this. So just understand that. I'm not looking for direct levels to be tested. So for me, I'm going to be looking at the smaller ABC within the C. So pretty much once we establish that A to a B to a C, or a possible C, because we didn't put in that high yet, we can go in and zoom in and talk about what could be going on here. All right, so at the moment, we have a larger ABC here in the red. I'll clear this up for you so it's not too confusing. Ultimately, I would like to see price put in a higher high before going ahead and breaking this, but at the moment, we do have a potential bearish ABC, which we are currently respecting. That pivot of the A is around 1960. We fall in that region, but ultimately got rejected. Let's see if this downtrend continues. Area of support that I'm looking for in the near future is around 1800 or 1803. If this is going to be a good, larger continuation to the downside. But besides that, that's the only setup I see that's worth taking for gold on a larger scale. Yeah, I mean, if we continue to push back up, ultimately, I think the all-time high is going to be tested and most likely broken. Just a matter of if we're going to push higher or just ever so slightly put in a higher high and then reclaim that and complete that ABC. But that's pretty much it for gold. Silver, okay, silver's been playing out a little bit differently. We had a bearish ABC here. All right, you can see we came back, tested it, put in a little bit slightly higher high, then actually came back below. Came back up, tested it as resistance, formed a bullish ABC. So if you wanted to short silver, you could have off of 24.54, but there's also a bullish position around 22.65. So currently we're in a position to where both sides are fighting. We'll have to just see if the bears are going to win and continue. If they do, about 1991 is going to be the next region of support I'm looking for price to test. We go ahead and push higher. Ultimately, I'm looking for the previous high to be tested around 26.16. From there, around 26.93. And then from there, you can start considering the all-time high around $30 if we do continue to push past that region. All right. And then we'll do BMW for Vlad. Let's see. It's a good time to buy or sell your cars. Let's see. No, BMW's still looking good. So currently we are above a local resistance. All right. So as long as we're above 104, which is the previous high off of this local downtrend or previous local high, we can easily go up to test the new all-time high and break it around 124. If we do reject somewhere in this region, I don't really want to be bullish until we get back below $100.72. But at the moment, we're kind of just in the middle of two areas. So I think if price wants to continue to be bullish, I definitely think we can test 124 and break the all-time high. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't see any bullish positions at the moment. But yeah.
Thank you very much, Johnny.
Thank you guys. If you guys are interested and want to learn more from me, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys the YouTube channel real quick. So on my YouTube channel, it's Johnny Crypto. Just type in, you can look for Johnny Crypto or Johnny Crypto ABCs, either or. Let me just pull up the channel real quick. Oh, I had this ready. I usually do. Come on. My channel. All right, let me pull up page Windows. So if you guys are interested in learning more from me, let me just go ahead and present share screen window here. All right, if you guys are interested, go ahead and check out the YouTube channel. The link's gonna be in the description below if you guys are interested. I stream 3 times a week, talking about the same stuff, give you guys a little bit more of a detailed update and talk about ABCs. If you guys want to learn more, you guys can ask questions and hopefully learn something from me. And yeah, would appreciate you guys stopping by if you guys are interested. But until then, I'll be back here same time next week, about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 UK. So until then, looking forward to seeing you guys there. I do appreciate Vlad. Thank you for hosting today's event. I really do appreciate it. And David as well. David, thank you for having me on the platform. I really do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to go ahead and talk about my style of trading. So thanks to everyone. Thank you for everyone stopping by today. Hope to see you guys on the next one. Be good, be safe, trade safe, and I'll see you then.